It is 6 o'clock. So let's get our Florida A&M Rattlers moving on again. So as you guys saw last night, we took it all the way through the conclusion of the first season. We got to 9-11 and then promptly lost 10 straight. Couldn't get that 10th win, although we tried hard. We just did not have the ball players to get it done. Looks like we're going to lose one of our best two. And, I mean, it's not like any of them are all-stars, but Mark Ward will be moving along. Let's take a look real quick at the recruiting class that we have so far. We do actually have 3 commitments. None of them are that highly ranked. I don't think that any of them were excellent players in the camps or anything like that. Most of our top targets turned us down, but I mean, that's kind of to be expected. I think we're at a school that has like 9 prestige, and the season that we just had is not going to improve that whatsoever. So I'm just glad to be bringing in players. Hopefully we can train them up, as we go along, as our coach improves. And we may not even players declaring for the draft now. Time to get nervous. Are any of the Rattlers going to the draft? Whew. That was a close one. You can see here when I came in, I didn't even know that Giles had committed. He just committed the last time that we updated the save. So that's a new player that just came in. That's 3 out of our 4 scholarships now that we have set up. Hey, welcome back, Aglia. Glad to have you back. So yeah, we got 3 of our 4 scholarships already taken up. Shockingly, we weren't finalists for the Norton Award. Let's just simulate through till we get to this next contact period, which should be starting next week, I believe. So it starts actually March 19th. Right now it's March the 6th. So we got a little bit of simulating to do here as we wrap up the end of this first season. The interesting thing, honestly, is going to be the coaching search to see whether or not there's anything out there that's interesting. Obviously, Florida A&M was just one of the jobs that was available. If it was one of the Kentucky schools, maybe I'd at least stick around 2 or 3 years, or try to get something accomplished. But honestly, this is just a stepping stone. I'm going to use and abuse Florida A&M to the extent that I can, and try to get set up, because I really want to figure out like where that forever home is going to be for this save, what team we're going to end up on, and really get that program started. Start bringing in those recruits. Start building up that history, because again, one of my favorite things about this game is all of the like almanac and going in, seeing who was the best 3-point shooter in school history, who had the most points, all those sorts of things. That's what really does it for me. And seeing like my coaching records, getting the season by season recaps. So those are all things that I'm looking forward to. And as long as I'm here at Florida A&M, I'm not making too much progress toward that goal. But we are learning and developing our coach. And we're bringing in some players here, so we will have a bit of a legacy. I don't know how long it'll be, but there will be one. That's for certain. All right, so we got about 10 days here before our in-home visits start. We're just rolling through this. You can kind of see if I see anything interesting going here. This should be conference tournaments, I believe, right now. Yeah, because I already lost in my conference tournament. So these are the conference tournaments. We'll see if there's any good ones, any interesting outcomes. See UConn moving on against Southern Methodist. Doesn't look like we had any outstanding performers in that one. So now, oh yeah, once again, since I was doing a little bit in my solo save earlier, we're defaulted here to the ACC. So that's actually probably more interesting. You can see who's still alive in the ACC tournament. You can see all of the results from yesterday. So I'm going to leave it set up like this. I couldn't see the ACC. You could tell it was the first conference that it simulated through. I didn't quite catch any of the scores. I did see UCLA moved on. I saw the Zags win, Wichita State, Cincinnati. But we can come back and see what happened in the ACC there. Well, I mean, we can obviously Louisville beat Georgia Tech, North Carolina beat Florida State, and Miami over the Dukies. I always love to see Duke lose. I think everybody does except for Duke fans. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but nobody likes to see Duke win. Temple with the big win over Wichita State. There's Quentin McNeil again. Quentin McKeel. He was huge yesterday with the double-doubles, and again today, 22 and 11. And that's a good player. I'm always curious to see if some of these guys from the mid-majors, like if they can jump up and grab a spot on like the second All-American team. I think those kind of things are cool. So you can see here, finals of the ACC are going to be Louisville versus North Carolina. And it looked like Louisville won. I'm not sure. I thought I saw 78-71. 58-73. I was way off. And North Carolina beat them down. 15 points. Tar Heels are the 2020 ACC champs. They'll take the automatic bid. So we can advance on to the selection show. And we can check it out. See who got the highest seeds here. I'm going to escape through that so that we can actually see the brackets come out. Somehow I don't think Florida A&M made it. You know, I realize 9 and 21 might be. It's nowhere near the bubble. We're nowhere near the bubble. We're nowhere near the bubble for the CBI or the CIT or whatever those other tournaments are. We're not playing anymore. We are done this year. But we can check out how everyone else did. So here are our play-in games. All right, so Michigan State took a 1 seed. Marquette, Louisville with a 3. Oregon with the 4. All right. Now North Carolina also with a 1 seed. Villanova grabs a 2. NC State with the 3. And Tennessee with the 4. Florida's always good in these games. Florida and Gonzaga are good in almost every save that the AI is running. So Florida grabs a 1, followed by Memphis, Arizona, and Oklahoma. And then in the last bracket, the Dukies take that last number 1. There's the Zags at the 2, although they're 33 and 1, so we'll see what happens there. West Virginia grabs a 3, and Georgia Tech with the 4. So Georgia Tech had a pretty good season. I can't remember. I think they start off with Josh Pastner as their coach. So, you know, not too bad there for Georgia Tech. That area of the country, being in the Southeast, man, they got great players in that region. So it's never a surprise. I see Georgia Tech pop up a lot. I see Alabama pop up a lot. All right. So let's move it on along and get ourselves into March the 19th so that we can actually go and do these, however many in-home visits there'll be. I've only still got 1 outstanding scholarship offer. But we do want to bring that player in because we're trying to bring some balance, you know, position-wise, make sure we've got a good spread, spread that experience across everywhere. You know, I mean, even if they aren't the best recruits, 4 years as my coach gets better and teaches them these offenses, and they're able to develop under me, you know, they'll be all right by the time that they're seniors. I don't know what the last coach was teaching these guys. The seniors that were already on this roster were not good, but we're going to coach them up here at Florida A&M. For as long as we're around, we're going to coach them up. We're going to turn them into some ballers. That's if we end up here next season, which I expect that we probably will. You usually don't gain, especially in a terrible season like I just had, you're not going to gain too awful much coach reputation to where you're going to jump up and grab a big school. Now, I could maybe grab somebody that got put on probation. And that's, you know, a different path and also interesting. We wouldn't be in the tournament the first couple of years. We may face some scholarship restrictions, but you can get a lot better job that way, and you kind of ease into those higher expectations of that bigger job. You know, a lot of times if you take a big step up, the expectations can crush you if you're not ready for it. But if they're on probation, you know, they can't have that high of expectations off the bat. So something to look out for. We'll see what jobs are available, and I'll think about it. And we'll see. We got a handful of people here on the stream. We're going to be at, we're at March 19th now. We're going to be at the selection day for changing jobs here real soon. So when we get there, I'll see what kind of feedback you guys have, if there's anywhere that you really want to see me move this party along to. But for now, let's focus on, look at this. This will be a 3-star player, which would be by far the best recruit. And he's fairly high up on us. And, you know, like everybody else, when you're at a school like this, you're pitching location for the most part. We are in his top 10. His parents also really like location, and they also like facilities, but our facilities are garbage here at Florida A&M. We just, you know, we got a concrete court down by the ocean, and if you don't like the ocean view, might not be for you. But we're going to go in and talk about location. We got another 2-star here, another inside player. So we are also going to go and talk to him. He's really big on coach discipline, and we're number 1 with him. So let's go and have a chat. Now, I don't think, you know, Leatherman was one. Oh, see? Look at that. Leatherman, relatively low rank, but he went to Wisconsin. You know, the AI's no dummies. They know these players that perform well in camps, they're going to be players when they get up to your school. So Leatherman would have been a great one to have. He'll probably do just fine over there at Wisconsin. So I'm just pulling some of these guys out so we're not wasting too much. You know, we are down to $3,200. We didn't have a huge budget to start with, which isn't necessarily a terrible thing when you're doing all in-state recruiting. It's not going to hurt you that badly, but no money to waste, really. So actually, you know, we could do 2 more visits. I'm going to hold off there and just do those because we do still have 1 more contact period later on. So we'll see how that goes. Let's simulate this out. Yeah, you could see if we had gotten into any tournament, we would have had an email, we would have had a scouting report, and we didn't get anywhere, obviously. Very tough first. Oh, look at that. Texas Rio Grande beat Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was a 4. Was that the first? No, that was a second round game. So, well, that must have been a team that upset a 5 in the first round and then went on and upset Georgia Tech. Texas Rio Grande. Wow. That's exciting. What? Somebody in chat says that a guy in my multiplayer league stole another player. Which one was it? There's no way it was the guy I was going after. No way. Yeah, that's a good point. We can check out the whole grid. Now, I do think it's just region by region, but we will be getting to the finals here shortly, right? So this is the Pittsburgh region. So we're all chalk here except for Michigan upset Marquette. So up until Thursday here, it's just going to be simulating these other tournaments. Oh, I got you. Yeah, Wisconsin always stealing the recruits. Yeah, he's right. My multiplayer league, the guy that controls Wisconsin just dominated the recruiting. So seeing Leatherman there go to Wisconsin, I think it gave him a little bit of PTSD, a bad flashback. So we're gonna move on along from that one. I thought he was going after my guy, man. Well, you know what? The guy that I'm going after, he is rated down around that area. So actually, in my multiplayer league, I think those players are safer than they are over here. All right. 1 more day, and then we're going to be back into our games here. We're going to be seeing some Sweet 16 action. So, let's see what happens. Wisconsin didn't win that one, did they? Can't win them all, Badgers. All right, so it looks like Michigan State will take on Louisville. North Carolina, San Diego State. Oh, and those games will be today. So let's see who rounds out our Elite 8. Looks like Arizona, Florida, Duke, and West Virginia. Is that right? There was a Steve Nash on Miami. I totally missed that. So yeah, we got Florida, Arizona, and Duke, West Virginia. Where was... I didn't see Miami. Yeah, Wisconsin lost. That's always a good thing, right? All right, so we ought to be in our Elite 8. Let's see what happens. Michigan State and North Carolina. So Michigan State knocked off Louisville. Feeling bad for my boys. And then UNC takes care of San Diego State. So UNC, Michigan State on to the Final Four. Wow, 36 points out of Lawrence Shaw for North Carolina. That's a heck of a game. Michigan State, North Carolina. So we're going blue bloods so far. Yeah, Texas Rio Grande did not make it. All right, and now let's see what happens on the other side of our bracket. We got, I didn't see the first one. Duke definitely beat West Virginia. I think Florida won the first one. Yeah, Florida. So we got Florida, Duke, Michigan State, North Carolina, all the 1 seeds. You know, how much more boring does it get than all 4 1 seeds? All right, I do not believe that we can contact recruits right now. No, that ended on the 25th, so it'll pick back up on April 9th, but we do have some more emails. Any of this? Earl doesn't like it. Hinton, who is the 3-star, did kind of like our home, in-home. So we're still in the running there, but we are going to have to get past the games before we can make... He didn't commit there, so we got to get past all of our games before we can see if we can end up bringing him home or not. Yeah, Steve Nash from Miami. That is funny. See, we got a little bit of a team incident here. Arguing a bit, but cooler heads finally prevailed. Keep an eye on it. Peter Abel and Kareem Grant. Yeah, I'll call him and mess with him a little bit. Abel and Grant, right? Hey, knock it off. Yep. Alright, so Abel apologizes pretty quickly. And Kareem Grant also apologizes pretty quickly. So that's good. You know, I always stay on them for the most part. I'll stay on them until they apologize like that. So both of them turned it around pretty quick, which is great. You know, I don't want to have to discipline anybody if they pull it together, especially if it wasn't anything big. You know, they argued, cooler heads prevailed, we're all good. So let's move along to our Final Four here. Ought to have about 3 days. The Final Four games ought to start on Saturday. See, Alabama winning. I know this is probably just the NIT or something, but Alabama's always... They always jump up and do a little bit better than I would expect traditionally. And so do a lot of teams in that Southeast region. Southeast region has a ton of talent in it. And then also, there's always a team or two popping up out west. You know, I've had a save where St. Mary's turned into a perennial top 5 team. I've had a save where BYU turned into a perennial top 5 team. I don't think multiple ones in any save, but it's always like the Zags and then somebody else jumps up there. So, all right, guys, here we go. Saturday, April 1st. All chalk in the Final Four. Let's see who's going to meet up in the championship game. Michigan State and Florida. No shock there. Again, Florida is just always crushing it. Look at Dwayne Buss, 11 and 18. That's a monster on the boards. Oh, Brodnack's 12 and 13. Like, I would have loved to have seen that rebounding battle. It's like they were going at it. All right, Michigan State. Yeah, Michigan State and Florida? I know it's Florida. Florida will win. You watch. Here we go. Championship game, first year. All Gators. They only won by 2, but still. I told you, man. Florida Gators. I don't know what they're doing in this game, but they crush it. All right, so we're going to get the award winners here. Let's go ahead and check out the award winners for the nation. I'm always curious. Like I said earlier, we had the McKeel kid from Temple, I think it was. It'd be cool to see if he jumped up and grabbed one of those second-team All-American spots. So here's the individual awards. A couple of Florida players there with the Norton Award and the NCAA Most Outstanding Player. Guy from Louisville, L1C4. Omar Dorsett with the Player of the Year there. Garner from Arizona picks up Defensive Player of the Year. Freshman of the Year is from North Carolina. And then Tom Izzo with the Coach of the Year. So first team All-Americans. We got Florida, Marquette, Memphis, the Zags, and UConn. Okay. Arkansas, Nova, another North Carolina player. So North Carolina had 2 All-Americans. Arizona and Georgia Tech. So our guy from Temple, I think, McKeel, he did not make an All-American team. Let's go and check out our Mid-Eastern Atlantic. So starting off with the second team, since that's what I already had up there. Shockingly, Florida A&M didn't have a second team All-American. I guess all-conference. Right, yeah, all-conference. I just didn't change the drop-down. And also, shockingly, no first team all-conference. And Juan Dixon wins Coach of the Year. You know, I'm really shocked here. 9-21, I put up a fight for Coach of the Year, but somehow I was overlooked. I'll lodge my complaint with the committee after the stream is over. But Florida A&M didn't win a single one of the postseason awards. I'm truly devastated. We really had earned a lot. You know, if this was like Rotten Tomatoes or something, I think we would have had a great score. But let's move along and see if we can bring in this 3-star player, and then let's check out the coaching jobs. Hopefully we'll get a few more people trickle in here as we go, and we can get some feedback on what kind of jobs y'all are interested in seeing me take, if there's anything interesting available. Yeah, I think Juan Dixon, Maryland, NBA lore. That's right. Was it Juan Dixon? Was that the Steve Francis team? And I feel like they had one more player. I can't remember. Failed to win the conference tournament. Not shocking. All right, so let's check out the available jobs here. All right, so there. Oh, those are head coach only. Not a lot of options, guys. Not a lot of options. Nothing there that's going to move us out of our spot with Florida A&M. So if there was anything interesting at all, I would have been perfectly happy to leave that up for debate, but we got nothing. So we're going to move on ahead and forge into our second season with Florida A&M. Of course, first we got to hit this other contact period and see if we can't land one more commitment. I almost got excited there. I saw Auburn pop up. I'm like, wow, some schools are actually interested. And then it's Auburn offering me a third assistant job. It's like, wow. So you get a bit of a reevaluation on your players toward the end of the season here. And it does look like, you know, Jason Williams popped up as maybe a little bit better than we had first thought. But unfortunately for us, he's also a senior. So we do have this freshman here that's 2 stars. So that might be interesting in the offseason. Looky there. Hinton was the one we were going after. He just signed his LOI. So we did end up bringing in a 3-star recruit, assuming that he held on to that rating. Yeah, 3-star recruit, number 300. So definitely, you know, these guys down here aren't going to be much. And he may not be either. You know, it wasn't like he was a star in the camp or anything like that. But I'd rather bring in 3 stars than 1 stars any day, so I'll take it. That's going to be all of our scholarships, so we don't have to worry about the next in-home. So now we just need to check out, let's take a look at our staff. I reworked this a little bit before the season started, and now we're going to be reworking it again. We've got our first and second assistant both gone. I don't know if I just hired them to 1-year contracts or if they just left for other jobs. I'm honestly not certain on that one. But we are going to try to bring in somebody that knows how to recruit, but they can't cost $135,000. I think we can spend maybe $50 on a first assistant. So we could come down like into this range. Nibbert, I think, is who we had, right? I must have just signed him to a 1-year deal. Let's try him again for $55,000. Let's bring him in for 5 years. Let's make that offer. And then check out player development. Ooh. You know, I kind of look over here at reputation because, you know, these guys lower down in the reputation will be real cheap, but they're also real bad. Oh, he's a head coach somewhere. I was going to say he would almost be kind of interesting because he's got a little bit of skills at other things. Let's just see if we can bring in Mr. Benji Taylor. So, see if he wants to come be our second assistant, and maybe for $25,000. And we'll let that be for 4 years. Make that offer. Run around, see if we bring those guys in, and then we can move on. Takes $35,000 in years. As a first assistant or second, or what kind of position do you usually offer him? Look at that, Bryce Drew going to be the #2 assistant with Louisville. Alright, so we did get Nibbert as our first assistant. We didn't get Benji Taylor. Did he go somewhere else, or did he just not accept? Looks like he just didn't accept, so he should still be available. Wow, I may have overpaid then. You know, in chat, they're saying that Nibbert takes $35,000 in their careers. It'd be nice. That would be a big difference at a school like this, because our budget is not great. You know, I mean, we're already at 68 out of our 133, but we'll be all right. All right, Benji didn't take 25. Let's see if he'll take 30. If he doesn't, we just might have to move on to cheaper salaried coaches. I wonder if he's already... You know, sometimes this screen over here isn't great about telling you that somebody already has another job, but he doesn't. I wonder if he's just not interested in second assistant. Yeah, see there? He disappeared when I took anybody that was only interested in first assistant. I removed them from the list and he disappeared. So let's find somebody in the rest of this to work with. This guy, he can't really coach offense or defense, but he's got some player development, and hopefully we can get him relatively cheap. So let's offer him $25,000 for 4 years. That didn't bring him in. Yeah, I don't mind spending on my budget, especially like at a school this small. Definitely, I'm going to be doing so much in-state recruiting that I'm not all that worried about spending a lot of the budget on coaches, because coaches make a huge difference, especially that recruiter. That's why I went, you know, we went full $55,000 on Nibbert, and you know, maybe I could have saved some money, but I did not want to lose that guy. And there we go. We landed our second assistant. So now we've got our staff filled back out, and we can move along. So we'll still have about $35,000. That'll give us, we can get the $5,000 report, do $5,000, $4,000, whatever it is, to visit the Southeast camp, and still have about $25,000 to play around with. I'm not sure exactly how many scholarships we have next year. Haven't counted that yet, but when you're recruiting in state, it's going to be more than enough. I can assure you of that. Looks like we'll probably have only one. We'll probably only have one scholarship available next year. So we'll see what kind of interest we have from recruits. We may end up cutting someone. I don't know. All right, so our meeting with the board. Let's jump in the office and see. Okay, we didn't drop any on job security. So, I'm not that worried about the budget. Let's see if they'll upgrade our facilities. I'm thinking usually they'll tell you, like, if your prestige is terrible, they're usually not going to upgrade the facilities. Maybe I'd have had a better chance at the budget since I at least spent most of it. So that might have been smarter, but the budget really isn't going to be what's holding me back here as much as the facilities are. So I would imagine that they probably denied the request, but that's all right. You got to ask for something, right? So they did deny it. That's the end of our season. And now we're just going to process into the start of next year. So we're probably only going to have one scholarship. We'll have to look at the roster, see out of the players that came in, kind of how they look. We can't take too much of that into account because, again, our scout is not good. So those aren't extremely accurate. But if we see a position where we have a ton of depth and a young player that really doesn't look like he belongs, you know, we can move him out and open up another scholarship. And of course, that's assuming that no one transfers out. You can always have someone transfer out. So that's another thing that we'll have to see once we get here into this next season. So we're just going to let it process and do its thing here for a minute. And then we're going to get rolling on some recruiting. Hopefully we have some better luck this season than we did last season. You know, last season we had a couple of JUCOs, a couple of guys that performed pretty good in camps that could have been, like, at a program like this, could have been legit program changers. And they just fell through. hopefully we get a little bit more lucky this year. It'll also be good. I need to jump in and check out my office and see what my coach's skills look like. As you know, as a new coach just starting out, I chose that lowest level. So I think all the skills start off at 35. We'll double check that and see what they are now and see how they progressed. There's nowhere to go but up. You know, 9 wins, like 9 or 10 prestige. Coach at 35 skills. So you're one of a journeyman save. What can you really do? Alright, so it looks like this is wrapping up on the processing. It's going ahead, doing an auto save. Then it ought to get us through to May 1st so we can buy our report. And again, when you're a school this small, I don't know how everyone else does it. I never really recruit out of state. I definitely don't recruit out of region at this point. So yeah, here we go. We got 35,000 with the 1 scholarship. We'll spend about 10 of that before recruiting starts. I'm curious. Look at that. Louisville with the #1 recruiting class. Look at that. Top 100 recruiting class. That's got to be a first for Florida A&M, right? You know, I was talking to some people and they said, oh, you got to do something that Florida A&M's never done. You know, make it worth your time there. They just got a top 100 recruiting class. Now, that's probably just mostly because they brought in 4 players, but also, you know, we got a 3-star player. Let's jump in my office real quick and check out our skills. So it looks like, oh, wow, 32, 33, 34, 32, and 33. That must have all started at 30. I can't remember if I can see a progression on this or not. Yeah, I think the 3-star really bumped it up. I think you're right there. Ratings progression. No, they just didn't change? Oh, no. That was 2019. And yeah, so everything was at 30. Reputation was at 10. And now, you see, everything's moved up. Recruiting's actually moved up 4 points. Reputation did not move, shockingly, after that 9 and 21 year. We're still not very highly thought of. I don't see why. We're going to go ahead and buy reports. I don't want to jump into my office or into the roster just yet and see the new guys. We will get the basic edition of the Southeast Report. That's all that we need. I do like seeing when the recruits come in and just kind of seeing like what our scout thinks of them. But I also like to make sure that I get into the next. Oh, look, it took us right to it. Look at Wild jumping up there as a junior. So, I mean, he could end up as a 4-star senior. We got Giles, a freshman, at 2.5. Towns jumped up to 2.5. So already the roster looks better than last year. I don't want to say significantly better, but it does look better. Now what we got to see, we do have a handful of people here that have pretty low morale. Let's see what it looks like. Somebody just asked, Blazer just asked how I managed to keep 100% job security. I have no idea because I failed the only goal that I had. My only thought is that they didn't really expect me to accomplish it. I don't know. I do think a lot of times that in the first season of a new save that the goals aren't always realistic. They're kind of ideal goals or something. So I don't know if that plays into it. I don't know if they just had really, really, really low expectations for this team. But we are still at 100% job security. Oh, Hinton with the 1/2 star. Ouch. Hey, but he's got potential. You know, look at the potential. Look at the potential scoring. And again, you know, who knows with our scouts. This is certainly a guy that could grow over time, though. It's also somebody I could think about redshirting him potentially. Both our power forwards actually came in at a 1/2 star, and Giles was 2.5. Where's our other freshman? Giles, Hinton, White. Where's our point? Oh, that's right. Watkins was a JUCO, so he came in at 1.5 star. That's right. Oh, no, Winston. I'm sorry, Winston. And he's actually a junior, but also a 1.5 star. I thought he might be a little bit higher, you know, with the JUCO coaches coaching him up and whatnot. So that's a little bit disappointing. I would have liked to have had something there. Those other JUCOs we were going after definitely would have been a good deal better, but Blazer said the video's running better tonight. That's good. We messed around with the settings a little bit. Think that we've got this down. So, you know, all we can do, hopefully, is improve with every stream. But this looks like our roster as of right now. Let's jump over here, check out transfers. Nobody left. So I always just skip these sessions. You know, I do not care for the transfers just because I cannot scout them the way that I want to. Like, I don't get to watch all the film. I don't get to see how they did in camps. I guess you get their stats. Whatever. The transfers don't do it for me for the most part. I just try to avoid them. I guess sometimes with a smaller school it could really work out for you, but I just don't care for it. I don't know why. Probably be a better idea at a school this small to see if I couldn't jump out and grab one, but I'm going to live on the edge with the save, you know. We're just going to get better at coaching, coach these guys up, get us some 4-year players, and make our own superstars. We're not taking leftovers from these other P5 teams. We want Rattlers for life. Unless, of course, we take a new job, in which case we will want someone else. Yeah, when you get down into those lower recruits, it really is a bit of a crapshoot as to what you're getting. Especially with bad coaches, because you don't have great scouts, you don't have a great feel for what you're actually bringing in. You just have less information to go on. It's less consistent. Those recruits tend to move more. Like, so you can have somebody who's rated in, like, you know, 250 range, and then the next week they're like the 800 range. So it's just wildly inconsistent when you get down there. It's just like buying a lottery ticket, man. You know, you bring in as many as you can and hope for the best. And if they aren't working out, you know, we could always cut them. That would be a little bit of a hit to the prestige. But, you know, at this level, the board isn't really going to be worried much about the prestige anyway. So I don't have to worry about it too much. I don't think I'm getting fired from... If the last season didn't get me fired from this job, I don't think I'm going to get fired from this job. So once these transfers process, we ought to be able to pick up the pace pretty good. We'll be at June 25th, get our travel set up. And you can see here, we get a little bit slightly different ratings once again on all of our players. So Wild came back down to earth a little bit. Giles dropped back down a little bit. But again, this is so inconsistent. We have a little bit more depth than we had last year. That's not saying much. Yikes. Could be another long year. But you know what? We're getting better every year. Every year. We got 30,000 to go and get one guy. I'm actually going to attend that Georgia Superstar Camp just for the heck of it, I suppose. It would be nice, like, at a school like this, if you can even find a guy that had a decent showing at the Georgia Superstar Camp, you got a player that can probably make a real difference. So it doesn't hurt. Or if they have a decent showing at Memphis, that's going to be a player that's going to be awesome to go after. So I'm going to load up on just every player in Florida, same as I did last year. See if any of them perform well in those camps, and see what kind of interest they end up having. Blazer just asked if I've ever been fired playing this game. Yes, I've been fired over and over. Actually, one of the older versions of the game had a bit of a bug, and I didn't know it was a bug at first. So I actually got fired from like 4 jobs in 5 or 6 years. Come to find out, it was because of something that was subsequently fixed pretty quickly. You know, it had been identified and fixed, but I hadn't updated my game quickly enough. And it was something... Yes, I've been fired a lot. I got fired from Georgetown in 3 years. I ended up... I went to Louisville, got fired in my very first year. Went to either Michigan State. I think I went to Michigan State, got fired my second year. So now that is the only save I've ever been fired in. At least 2 of those firings were 100% because of the bug. The Georgetown one I may have earned. I'm not entirely certain. I can't remember exactly how that played out. So once we get through the transfers, I always delete all these emails. I don't care who transferred where. Now we can get to actually recruiting. So let's see what we've got. only want to see Florida, but we do want the full recruit list. So, not a lot of interest up toward the top. We get down here to these one-star guys. They're loving us. Let's take a look just briefly. Since we've only got the one scholarship, let's see what kind of positions of need we have. We've got 3 scholarship point guards. We've got 3 scholarship shooting guards. We will lose one of them, but we still have some depth here. So next year we'll still have 5 scholarship guards, which is what I like to have. We'll have 2 scholarship small forwards, and one of them being Wild, who's pretty good. 3 scholarship power forwards, 2 scholarship centers. So really we can go probably best available here. Ordinarily I would like to add a 3rd small forward, just because it gives you a little bit of versatility. You know, they can move down and play the 2, they can move up and play the 4. So I kind of like to balance my roster like that, like have 5 guards, 5 players on the inside, and then 3 small forwards. But the need for talent right now is so drastic, I will probably just go best available. So we're not even going to bother with anybody in the top 100. We'll start down here, and we will, you know, I'm not going to get scared just because they have no interest. We can bring them in for a visit, go visit them. You know, the 3-star I brought in last time I don't think started off with any interest, so you might as well give it a go. All they can do is say no. So all I'm looking at here is their GPAs. And I think I only need like an 860 at this school, so I'm not going to be too worried about it until I get to this 2.3. I'm not going to bother with that. Not going to bother with that. And so now we can grab, we can just keep grabbing everybody. There's not that many players in the state of Florida. Skip over the 2-1. Now he's a JUCO, so he would qualify anyway. But we just brought in a JUCO point guard, and he didn't turn out very well. We're definitely not going after the 1.8 GPA. And now down here, there's so many 1-star guys. Let's just grab a handful of them that already have a decent amount of interest. Oh, yikes. There's only one of them that has a decent GPA and a lot of interest. All right. Let me revise that. Let's grab anybody that has interest in a decent GPA. I'm going to skip that JUCO. We just got burnt on the JUCO route, so I'm not quick to jump back in just yet. He's already on the list, right? All right, that's going to be our list. And so we're gonna go through here, and we're gonna bring in as many as we possibly can for visits. See if we can't generate a little bit of interest. If we can, that's great. And if we can't, we'll cut them off of here so that we're not wasting our time calling them and whatnot. We can try to call some of these. Well, I'm not going to call those. We'll call some of them that have a little bit of interest and see if they'll give anything up. But for the most part, they're all going to want location. For the second part, our coach isn't very good yet, so they tend not to answer a lot of times. It's just frustrating. So a lot of times I just skip the phone calls, offer them all location, and don't worry too much about it, at least when I'm at a small school. Now when I get to a bigger school and have a better coach, you know, they're not gonna pull this with me. They're gonna answer these questions, and you can just run through it, open up every one of these categories on a call. But for right now, you know, I tried on a couple of them. We've got our visits out. I do want to get film on all of these guys. If you didn't watch the stream from yesterday, I'm using a hotkey here. All you got to do is click on a recruit and hit the F button, and you'll be watching film. There's recruits for other. There's hotkeys for the other actions as well. But the watching film one is the one that I always use. Oh shoot! I still had one host recruit left. Must have missed that one. Have I ever bribed a recruit? No, I've never even looked at the bribe button. I'm scared to do it. There are some guys in my multiplayer league that have done it. So, you know, I talk to them about it from time to time, but I've never actually done it myself. So that's something we can check out at some point. I'm probably not going to bring it into this save, to be honest. I'm probably not bringing it into that. I'm definitely not bringing it into the save that I had on earlier today either. But look at that. You know, a couple of these 3-star guys, and right away we get a couple of them that have a little bit of interest. So it was actually the only 2 we visited. I forgot to visit a third. we're going to go ahead and skip ahead here. These are the national camps, but we will take a look at the Georgia Superstar Camp and see if anyone in our region, well, I guess in our state. So you can see here the top 5 at Indy Elite, East Coast Jam. Let's see, Kansas. There's one in Florida. Jimmy Colton. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, he's top 10 in the nation, so not somebody that's going to have any interest in coming to our school. So we got California, North Carolina, Illinois, Kentucky, and Ohio. So Tony L is at least in our region. I doubt he's going to have any interest. This would be the only reason I would consider going out of state, is if one of the top 5 from the camp actually had some interest, but he doesn't, of course. You know, let's add him anyway. Let's get risky. You know, we only got 1 to bring in this year. Last year we brought in 4 on, I think, $18,000. Let's jump over to Kentucky. Check out the full list. And we're looking for Tony L. There he is. Let's go ahead and add him. Back to our call and watch list. We can now change this to all regions so we're not missing anybody. And then we're going to scout these guys live. I always feel like that may generate a little interest. I'm not sure if it does or not. We're going to host all 3 this week. Not going to make that mistake again. And then let's see if they'll tell us what they think about the location pitch. He won't. Turned off illegal recruiting. I always leave it on. Here's why I leave on illegal recruiting. There's sometimes when I lose a recruit and it just makes me want to throw my computer out the window into a river or something. Like, I get so angry. But I can always justify to myself. Like, I can look at it and be like, location, I should win. Prestige, I should win. Like, how in the world did I not get that recruit? It's ridiculous. If I leave on illegal recruiting, I can at least in my head be like, they bribed him. And I just sit back and wait for him to go on probation. So that's my only reason for leaving it turned on, is for my own sanity. I never actually partake in the illegal recruiting. Let's get some more film. Not that the film that we're getting is going to be great because we have terrible scouting ratings, but can at least give us a ballpark idea. Now, conference movement, does conference movement default on or off? I cannot remember. I'll leave that to whatever the default is, and I've honestly never seen a whole lot of conference movement. So over here I'm getting emails, but that's just about the camps, and I'm not worried about what's going on out west. I definitely cannot recruit those players. So yeah, I haven't seen any conference movement that I've noticed or recognized, and I honestly don't know if I tend to play with the setting on or off. I do whatever the default is. Look at Terrell Wright. That's a lot of interest that we're generating up here. Are we in his top 10 yet? What if we can call and ask? What are you thinking, man? Tell me. All right. Tell me about location. They do not want to talk to me. I'm not very charming on the telephone, apparently. All right, so Larry Thomas did not have any interest. He didn't care for the campus visit, so we'll remove him from the list. And that's another hotkey. Some people have trouble figuring out how to remove players from the call and watch lists. You just highlight them and select the R button, and it'll remove them from your list. If you have questions about the hotkeys, they're right up here in this help box, right next to the quick key usage marker. So let's get a couple more guys in here. Tony L declined. That's right, he's the out-of-state guy. Well, that's a shame. Well, let's scout him live. Let's see if that actually does anything. What do you say? And then we'll go back to our Florida guys as far as hosting goes. And again, we're not too worried about these early camps. The Memphis camp, I believe, runs on July 24th. I know it's right after the dead period, so... You like the illegal recruiting for parity? Or you're saying if you remove it, it increases parity? Yeah, I suppose so, because a lot of the... Oh, hold on. Let's see how these guys did at Georgia Superstar. Didn't stand out. Oh, this guy was top 10 at Georgia Superstar. Damian Day. Yeah, because the smaller schools have such lowered budgets, I can definitely see where you're coming from. If you took that out, it may increase the parity. Let's go take a look and see if Day is one of the recruits that we've already visited, or where exactly he is on the list. So here he is. We haven't done anything with him yet, but this is immediately one of my top targets. My top target. I mean, if he was top 10 at that camp, that's better than being, you know, top 10 at a regional camp, probably. I don't know. It is the Georgia Superstar camp, so it's a little bit hit or miss. But, I mean, it's not like he just had a decent showing. He was top 10. All right, so we can advance here. It's going to take us to the 17th, which is the dead period, and then we're going to go ahead and immediately advance on to the 24th. We want to get Day in here on campus, see if he's got any kind of interest, and then we'll get on to our... None of them liked it. Yikes. We'll get on to our Memphis camp and see how some of these Florida recruits do there. See if we can get any more targets that are going to be on that level, or if any of these guys that are already interested end up performing well. So let's check it out. Alright, so it looks like we got about 9 guys. So he did not stand out. Nothing. Alright, so he was decent. So Cabrera, a couple of power forwards that we're on to so far. Didn't stand out. Jeffers is top 25 at Memphis, so there's another guy I'd really like to bring in. Lee didn't stand out. Here's Day, and again, like, see, I told you, he did well at Georgia. Again, top 10 at Memphis. So this is definitely my top target. After that, it's probably going to be Jeffers. And there's Tony L. Actually, Tony L would definitely be my top target if I could generate any interest in him. But, you know, I can't even get him to visit. And scouting him live didn't generate any kind of interest. We're going to leave him on there, though. I mean, he's lower rated. Sometimes they'll change their mind as the season goes on. I've definitely had people who initially would not take a visit to my school, and then, you know, I just wore them down. And let's keep scouting some of these guys up here. Bratton's got a great evaluation on him. What'd he do? Didn't stand out. Yeah, we're not worried about him. Alright, so we got Day. He's coming in. Where are the other ones that we decided we were going to target? Well, one of them was that power forward. Honestly, don't remember which one it was, though. Day we already got. Cabrera is the other one. Alright, and he's already visited, and he does have interest, so that's good. Let's go ahead and call him and see if we can unlock some more information. He's out of... Yeah, see, he likes location. Everybody does. At least everybody at this level. Alright, so we got a couple of good targets, at least one that has some interest in Cabrera. And let's go take a look at that shooting guard. Oh, and I already forgot which one it was again. Actually, well, yeah. Not a lot of interest. It was a shooting guard one. Oh, let's go look. Mike Jeffers, top 25. He is a shooting guard. Why is he not on this list? I mean, if he was on the email, he should be on this list, right? So this is call-in watch list. Let's look in Florida. And we're looking for Jeffers. Why is he not? Let's see. All positions, all recruits, full recruit list. How about that? Right there. Oh, he's one of them that was on the list, and I'm an idiot. I removed him from the list. But he didn't have any interest. He visited and didn't have any interest. We'll put him back on just in case. Just because he's one of the guys that we would really like to bring in, but not a whole lot of hope. Once they visit and don't have any interest still, you know, you're really not in a good position. But we definitely, you know, Cabrera would be a great pickup, and if not, we'll grab any of these 3-star guys and see what happens. So we still got a couple of guys that we can host. Let's do that. Let's check out some film on some of these guys that we do not have yet. One left. There we go. And let's move along. We'll see if we can't generate some more interest in Cabrera. Hopefully, our other gentleman has a little bit of interest after this campus visit. Damian Day. So it should have ran the last of the camps right there. Yeah, recruiting's my favorite part of the game too, man. Like I was saying yesterday, you know, you can win one big game and that's exciting, but you bring in one big recruit, that can win you a dozen games. Or more than that over the course of 4 years. So, yeah, recruiting is absolutely a blast on here. It only gets better as you go to bigger schools because you can take... When you're at a school this small, your options are pretty much limited to who you can get. When you get to bigger schools and you have more options as to who you can bring in, you know, it really gets more and more interesting. Of course, the one that we really wanted to generate interest in still has none. He didn't care for the visit at all. Didn't think it was worthwhile. So, as far as the guys who performed well at camp, we're probably just looking at Cabrera. He's probably the only one that we got a shot at. I am going to keep Day as well as Jeffers around. We will do in-home visits with them when we get to that point. I'm also going to keep trying to bring Tony L in. I don't think they'll change their mind on whether or not they visit until it gets a lot closer to the in-home contact period. I can still call these guys every now and then just to see if they want to give up any more information about what they're interested in, but I'm just going to go in and pitch them location unless one of my assistants is able to unlock one of the other categories on one of them. We're getting close to about an hour here on the stream, and this is right in the range that I'm going to usually keep these. So if you guys are having a good time here, I'm going to try to keep them to an hour from now on, but I'm definitely going to try to set goals every time we go live as to what we're going to accomplish when we get started. So getting through recruiting today, we're going to go through this contact period, and we're going to run you up right up until the games are about to start, and then we're going to call it a day. But we will see if we get a commitment in this early contact period. You're going to see it before we go offline here today. And we can probably get through that once we get all of our guys identified, and once you get through all the camps and everything else, this next month or so is going to blow by. So we'll probably be wrapping it up here in about the next 15 minutes. So hang tight. Let's see if we can't bring in... I'd love to bring in Cabrera. But we're just going to keep on bringing guys in for visits. See if we can generate interest, because you never know when you're going to need a backup plan. Last year we needed a lot of backup plans. We ended up on about our 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th options as far as recruits went. And even that's probably being generous. So, yeah, it's a ton of satisfaction landing a big recruit, right? If I get Cabrera, I'm going to lose my mind. I understand, he's not very highly ranked, but you wait, when that guy comes in, I can guarantee he'll be solid. Let's bring a handful more in. Reach out to Tony L every now and then. Worst he can do is say no. It's also interesting how the coach builds up his skills and whatnot early on in these saves. It was interesting that I gained 4 points in recruiting in that first year. And I'm kind of curious as to, if I'll get 4 points every year. And is that based on like how good my assistants are and their like knowledge or whatever kind of rubbing off on me? Or why did that go up so much more than say like offense or defensive skill, or whichever one only went up 2 points? I don't know the answer to that. But, I would certainly like to see it again. I'd love to be at 38, 40, something decent for recruiting on my coach, because I'd like to get more of these answers on phone calls. I'd like to have better in-home visits. And the phone calls and the in-home visits, when you call a recruit to unlock pitch areas and the in-home visits, that's when your coach's recruiting ability comes into play. All of the other, like putting them on a call list and calling them every week, that's all on your assistants. So if you're hiring coaches, make sure you've got a good assistant coach. I always tell everybody that. I guess we can watch film on like these top 10 recruits again. The more that you get eyes on these recruits, the more it's supposed to be, the more accurate information you get. With scouts as bad as mine, I don't know that that'll truly happen, but we can see. There's no harm in taking another look, because it only costs $20 to watch film on a recruit, so $200 to watch 10, and I still got 15,000 left. And with any luck at all, we'll land that recruit and fill that scholarship in this first contact period. So let's see if we can't get it done. Go ahead and get the film going. All right. Go ahead and throw out a couple more campus visits. Bounce over to the inbox, clear this out. I'm not going to delete it, because I always like to be able to go back and see camp results if I need to. It won't be as important to a school like this, but I just get in the habit of saving all those emails. So if you need to go back and see who the top 5 at a given camp were, you have that at least until you've got all your scholarships filled. So, just handing out tips for free over here. You guys definitely need to make sure that you're following us so that you get, you can see when we go live again and follow this and see where it goes. We're going to be at the Final Four sooner rather than later. I guarantee you that. I cannot wait to hit a big school and start bringing in some of those guys that are really the foundation of a program, and show you guys how I go about doing that. At small schools, everybody does it the same. You bring in whatever you can bring in and go from there. So we're into our contact period. Cabrera here is our top target. He's into location. Let's see. Yeah, hard-working kid. See, I love to see that. You don't want to get those bad notes over here. So let's run out and talk to him about location. Wright still has a lot of interest. Hard-working kid. And we're in his top 10. Let's see if he still doesn't want to come in for a campus visit. And we don't have any information on him. But we're at least in his region, so you know what we're going to pitch? Location. And one more target. Oh, yeah, Jeffers. He'll be the other one. And we don't have any information on him either. So I think we'll go with location. So let's see how that works out. I'd love to bring in Cabrera or generate some interest in one of the others. One of the others that didn't have a lot of interest. Cross your fingers. The first week of this recruiting is always the most exciting, in my opinion, because I feel like the first week is when you see the most recruits. Gilia asks how often I think I'll be streaming. We honestly haven't come up with a definitive schedule yet, but I usually jump on and play something for an hour or so every night. So I can't guarantee that it's going to be Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2020 every night, but I definitely would like to try and stream something every night, at the very least every other night. So I guarantee you'll be getting 3 or 4 days a week. Let's see. Jeffers didn't like it. Parents weren't impressed. Right. Oh, Cabrera didn't like it. That hurts. You'll be getting 3 or 4 days a week of college basketball here, and then I'll probably mix in something else as we go, but we're really just getting this going. So, you know, if you've got interest, if you've got suggestions, throw them out there. We're just trying to bring people what they want to see, what they're interested in. If people don't have any interest in something, I don't want to be doing it. You know, I want everybody to be enjoying themselves and come in and wanting to check us out, you know, every night or every other night or however often we get going on here. So Cabrera said he didn't have any interest, but it's still cool. We're going to give that at least one more go. You got to tell me no a couple of times before I'm going to back off. Yeah, why not go with these guys? All these guys again. At least one more time, you know. If we go twice and they still aren't interested, then we'll move on, and I'll just send that offer out to Terrell Wright. Hopefully he's still available at that point. All right, so we got our out-of-conference schedule. It looks like 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 home games and 6 away games. So we got a decent non-conference schedule this year. Not that it helped us any last year. You know, I think we won 5 games out of conference, maybe 6, and then, you know, ended up with 9 wins. So that was really disappointing, but let's cross our fingers here that this week goes a little bit better than last week. You know, the problem is still that my recruiting ability is only 34. So these in-homes, they might actually be hurting more than they help. I don't know. We can see here that if we had a commitment, it would be right here. So we didn't get a commitment, but we also didn't lose anyone. All right, so let's see here. This is today. So Wright was impressed. Tony L's still nothing. Jeffers still nothing. Cabrera still not interested. And Jeffers has actually gone ahead and committed to South Carolina now. Which, again, not shocking. It really hurts my soul that we can't get any interest here in Cabrera. What kind of notes do we have on Wright? Is he at least like hardworking? Oh, look, we're number 1 on his list. He's a hardworking kid. All right. So, did we seriously not ever... You know, maybe had I offered Cabrera, it would be different. I cannot believe I didn't have an offer out on him. That was dumb. So, you know, sometimes you can see when you're sitting here talking and looking at the camera and chatting and everything else, you do something stupid like forget to send your offer out. But because nothing's really going on there, Terrell Wright, he's still a 3-star player. He's got a decent ranking. We're going to go ahead and make our offer there. We are going to pitch location once again. We are going to stay on Cabrera just in case he lightens up. I don't have any hope in Tony L. And then we'll go ahead and jump on these guys as well. And again, we don't have much to offer but location. So that's what we're going to roll with. They got a little bit of interest. That's what we'll talk about. Cross our fingers here. That's where only having 1 scholarship like messed with me. You know, if I had 4, I definitely would have been like every week trying to figure out who I'm offering at this position, that position. Just having the 1, I had my top target in my head and rolled with it. And failed to get the offer out. But that's all right, you know. Rookie coach at Florida A&M, hey, sometimes you forget that sort of thing. That's a learning experience for when we get to that Power 5 school. We will not make that mistake ever again. And we got him. Oh, look at that. He jumped up to a 4-star, 125th player in the nation. Now, you can never be too certain about those rankings. But look at that. You talk about, oh, I'm excited. I'm excited for that. Man, anybody that stuck around to watch the end, that's a big one. Terrell Wright coming to Florida A&M, a top 150 recruit in the nation as it stands right now. We'll see if that holds. 4 stars. Whew. I guarantee you Florida A&M has never seen that kind of thing happen to them. So, Now, in the last episode, we actually had set up our practice plan, our strategy, all that good stuff. So for right now, I'm just going to simulate ahead. And really now I'm just getting set up for whatever the next stream is. There's not going to be anything else too big going on here. We're moving ahead. But I am going to be bringing you another stream either tomorrow night or, let's see, today's Monday. So either tomorrow or Wednesday night, we'll get another stream going. Hopefully you guys are following. You'll get some notifications. I'm sure that GM Games will send it out on Twitter. If you haven't stopped by gmgames.org yet, make sure that you do that. If you got questions and whatnot, you can shoot me messages over there. I'm always on the forums. You can check out YouTube. We keep an eye on those comments as well. So if you got questions that you didn't ask in chat, didn't get around to, make sure that you reach out. You can see here we're running Princeton and the triangle. We're running about a 60-40 split on that. I got all the zone offenses at 10%, because especially like when you don't have a great coaching skill, 5% on each of these does not, even as seniors, they still can't attack a zone properly. So I really like to throw a little bit more on that. And then, maybe I'm going a little bit light on my defensive settings, but 20% is more than enough for them to get to know how to play a man-to-man defense. So that's enough there. And then I run zone and full court so rarely that just a little bit of knowledge on those is fine. But those zone offenses, like, you cannot control when a team comes in and runs a zone against you. You just have to be ready to beat it. All right, so we got some incidents going on here. All right, so Jeff Wild, he's doubling up there. He's our best player, but you've got to, if you set your coach up to have high discipline, you actually have to follow through with that. So he's going to have to apologize, or we're going to suspend him here. Yeah, it is your problem. Thank you. All right, so luckily he apologized before it got to a suspension. Let's see who else he was messing around with. Oh, what about this one? So Jeff Wild again. Also Cedric Montgomery. Just going to hit the ones that are making more than one problem for me here. Let's dial him up. Tell him to get it together. Yeah, it is your problem, man. All right. So there's a suspension for Cedric. Luckily, that will be over before we ever actually get into the regular season, I think. So let's see if we can't go ahead, simulate past that suspension, and then hopefully we don't have any more incidents. We can get our depth chart set up for the year. I'll usually just let the AI do that. And then we ought to be able to get some of the scouting reports for our first games. Yeah, if you don't see it, the Discord link for GM Games is posted in the chat, so make sure you join up on the Discord as well. Let's advance again. We'll be closing in on the beginning of the season here. I'm excited, man. Florida A&M got their big 3-star, top 100 recruiting class, and now the very next year a 4-star player. That's awesome. It was never our top targets, but I'm still pretty excited. I think that that's better than what was here when we started out. So we continue the coaching. Coach continues to progress, get better at it, bring these players up. We're going to eventually turn this into a pretty good program here in the MEAC. So let me fix our depth chart. We're just going to let the AI handle that. All right. So I'm going to save it and wrap it up here, guys. Anybody that's still here, thanks for watching. Make sure that you jump back in. Make sure you're following. Get over to gmgames.org. Check it out. Reach out. Any questions, any comments. If you guys, make sure that you're here the next couple of episodes, because what is going to happen is I am going to get offers at P5 Jobs. So, if you want to have a say in what job I end up taking, make sure that you're here, because I'm going to ask the chat when it gets to that point. Once I go, I'm staying at that school unless they fire me. So thanks guys for watching. I'm going to wrap it up, and I'll see y'all next time.